This coin almost ended up in the trash, but instead, it stunned the world and sold for over $1 million. Think about that for a moment. A single penny, a coin worth just 1 cent, transformed from pocket change into $1 million miracle. And the shocking part? The very same coin could be hiding in your home, waiting to be discovered. Collectors whisper about it. Dealers chase after it. And ordinary people who never thought twice about their loose change have found themselves holding a fortune in the palm of their hands. The coin in question? The 1948 no-mint Mark Wheat Lincoln penny. At first glance, it looks like nothing. Brown, worn, ordinary. Something you'd use at the gas station or hand to a child for a gumball machine. But this penny hides a secret that almost no one notices. A secret that has changed lives forever. But here's where the story gets wild, because one of these pennies, overlooked by everyone, once surfaced at auction. Experts crowded the room. Collectors leaned forward in their seats. What they saw under the magnifying glass was shocking. This was no ordinary penny. This was an error. A minting mystery. A coin that should not exist, and yet it did. And when the hammer dropped, it fetched a staggering price tag that left the entire coin world speechless. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The news spread like wildfire. Suddenly, people were raiding old jars, tearing through dressers, dumping out piggy banks, desperate to see if they had the same 1948 no-mint Mark Wheat penny hiding in plain sight. And that frenzy hasn't stopped since. 1948 was a pivotal year in American coinage. The U.S. Mint had just shifted after World War II, working overtime to meet the growing demands of a booming nation. Mistakes happened. Dies broke. Blanks were struck incorrectly. And a handful of coins slipped through the cracks. Coins that today are worth more than their weight in gold, worth more than diamonds, worth more than the house you're living in right now. Collectors were shocked when details began to surface. Some of these pennies had doubling in the date. Others showed unusual die cracks. Some appeared with dramatic off-center strikes. But the real treasure, the one worth up to $1.1 million, was the clean, sharp, no-mint Mark 1948 wheat penny, preserved in stunning condition, untouched for decades, as if it had been waiting for its destiny. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. Imagine walking into a store, pulling a penny out of your wallet, and the clerk saying, "Do you realize what this is worth?" That's exactly what happened. And from that moment on, the legend of the 1948 wheat penny exploded. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The coin doesn't have a mint mark. That means it was struck in Philadelphia. While that alone isn't unusual, the year 1948 produced some coins of extraordinary quality and error combinations. Most were spent into circulation, worn down, forgotten. But a select few survived in mint state condition, perfectly sharp, untouched, preserved against all odds. And it's those surviving coins, sitting in bank vaults, private collections, and yes, sometimes in coffee cans in people's garages, that now command life-changing sums at auction. But here's the twist. Not all 1948 pennies are created equal. You might hold one in your hand right now, and at first glance, it looks valuable. But unless it meets certain conditions, it might only be worth a few cents. The difference between pocket change and $1 million prize comes down to the tiniest details. Details most people overlook. Collectors know this secret. And today, you're about to learn it too. Look closely at the coin. The wheat stalks on the reverse should be sharp and well-defined. The lettering crisp. The date clear, not muddied or doubled. The surface should glow with the original luster, a reddish shine that time hasn't stolen away. And most importantly, the coin must have avoided circulation. No scratches. No dings. No signs of being handled. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on this coin, because they know that when a pristine 1948 no-mint Mark Wheat penny surfaces, it doesn't just sell, it ignites a bidding war. Auctions explode with energy. Prices climb higher and higher, until suddenly, the penny that no one noticed yesterday becomes the headline of today. The 1948 penny isn't just money. It's a piece of history. A survivor of a time when America was rebuilding, when families were finding their footing, when every coin meant something. And now, decades later, it has become a symbol of luck, of mystery, of unimaginable value. But here's the part that gives collectors chills. Most of the million-dollar 1948 pennies discovered so far have come from the most unexpected places. A child's piggy bank. A forgotten envelope. A flea market where someone sold it for $1, not realizing it was worth a fortune. One story still circulates about a man who inherited his grandfather's coin jar. For years, it sat in the attic, collecting dust. Then one day, while sifting through it, he noticed something strange about one of the pennies. It was a 1948, no mint mark, in almost flawless condition. When he had it appraised, the experts confirmed it. He was holding a coin worth over $1 million. That single discovery changed his family's life forever. But what makes this coin even more captivating is that it's still out there. Thousands of 1948 pennies exist, but only a handful meet the criteria that transform them from pocket change into treasure. And every single day, someone finds one. Now here's how you identify the exact coin that could make you rich beyond your imagination. Check the date. 1948, clear and sharp. No mint mark beneath it. Inspect the reverse side. The wheat stalk should be strong, the lettering bold. Look for luster, that original mint glow. Condition. The fewer marks, the better. The highest values come from coins graded, mint state, or higher, preserved like time capsules from 1948. And here's the warning most beginners miss. Not every 1948 penny is rare. Many are worth only a few dollars, even in good condition. The $1 million prize only goes to those coins that combine rarity, condition, and collector demand. So before you dismiss that old penny in your drawer, look again. Under the right light, with the right care, you might be staring at a fortune. Every great discovery starts with someone who believed there was treasure where others saw nothing. And right now, that treasure could be sitting in your hand. The 1948 no mint mark wheat Lincoln penny has turned ordinary people into millionaires. It has shocked collectors, ignited bidding wars, and written itself into history as one of the most valuable pennies ever struck. So the next time you see a penny, don't toss it aside. Don't overlook it. Because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost slipped unnoticed into someone's pocket change, but instead, it became a gateway to a fortune. A simple 2016 penny, no mint mark, worth up to $1.2 million. And the truth is, most people who see one of these never realize what they're holding. It looks so ordinary, so forgettable. A copper-colored coin tossed into a coffee shop tip jar, lost beneath the cushions of a couch, or rattling around in a car cup holder. But behind its plain face lies a story of shocking rarity, stunning mistakes, and life-changing value. One man in Illinois reportedly pulled a 2016 penny from circulation, expecting nothing more than 1 cent of value. But when he brought it to a dealer for fun, the dealer's jaw dropped. What he saw wasn't just another Lincoln cent. It was a once-in-a-lifetime anomaly. A missing mint mark, a subtle misstrike, a perfect storm of rarity. That penny later sold for hundreds of thousands. And experts believe some surviving examples could fetch over $1.2 million at auction. But how can such a recent penny, a coin most people treat as pocket change, be worth more than a mansion? The answer lies in the details. You see, by 2016, the U.S. Mint produced billions of Lincoln Memorial cents. They were everywhere, so common most people didn't even bother to look at them. But within that sea of billions, a handful were struck without their expected mint marks, a quiet mistake hidden in plain sight. And even among those few, only a microscopic number survived in pristine condition. Those are the coins now shaking the foundations of the coin collecting world. But here's where the story gets even stranger. Some collectors report that these coins don't just appear in bank rolls or dealer boxes. They've turned up in the most ordinary of places. A grocery store cashier, a laundromat machine, even inside a child's piggy bank. Each discovery feels like lightning striking, because every time someone finds one, it has the power to change their life overnight. And yet, the coin world remains divided. How many of these 2016 no-mint mark Lincoln Memorial pennies are still out there? Are there only a few dozen? A few hundred? Or could there be thousands quietly waiting, hidden in circulation, ready to shock the next lucky finder? Collectors whisper about one auction that left the audience stunned. A coin that began with a tiny opening bid quickly skyrocketed, climbing higher and higher, until it reached a staggering price tag few thought possible. Bidders gasped. Dealers shook their heads in disbelief. And when the gavel finally dropped, that single penny had sold for more than most people's houses. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Prices kept climbing. Collectors began hoarding their 2016 pennies, examining them under magnification, hunting for that missing mint mark, for that flawless strike, for that tiny detail that separates a $1 million miracle from an ordinary cent. Dealers began receiving phone calls day and night. Do you have one? Have you seen one? Would you sell one? And here's the haunting truth. Every single one of these coins looks deceptively ordinary at first glance. That's what makes them so dangerous to overlook. You could hold one in your hand, spend it without a thought, and accidentally give away a fortune. Imagine it. You're at the gas station, you slide a penny across the counter, and only later do you realize you gave away a life-changing treasure. That nightmare has already happened to collectors before, and it's happening again today. But here's the secret most people miss. The difference is in the details. To the untrained eye, a 2016 penny looks like every other. But true $1 million specimens have no mint mark beneath the date. They often display unusual die errors, doubled lettering, slightly misaligned strikes, or a sharper than usual luster untouched by circulation. And if the coin remains in mint state condition, without scratches or wear, its value doesn't just rise, it explodes. Dealers are rushing to secure these coins before the wider public realizes their value. Because the moment everyday people begin to check their change, the prices could skyrocket even higher. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle. Another collector pulled one from a bank roll and turned a $1 purchase into a retirement fund. These aren't fairy tales. They're real stories happening in the shadows of the coin world right now. But here's the cliffhanger that keeps collectors awake at night. No one knows how many remain. For every one discovered, how many more sit untouched in drawers, jars, and dusty shoeboxes? How many are sitting right now in coin-counting machines, about to be melted down, their fortune erased forever? And that's why you must know exactly what to look for. If you have a 2016 Lincoln penny, pick it up. Look closely beneath the date. If there is no tiny D for Denver or P for Philadelphia, you may already be holding a treasure. Examine it under bright light. Does it shine with original luster? Are the edges sharp? Do the letters and numbers appear doubled, misaligned, or unusually bold? If so, don't spend it. Protect it. Have it graded. Because the difference between an ordinary cent and a $1 million rarity can be smaller than the blink of an eye. Collectors were shocked when these discoveries first came to light. Dealers scrambled to authenticate them. And the market hasn't slowed down since. Each verified coin pushes the limits higher, making the dream more powerful for those still searching. Check your change. Search your jars. Because one overlooked 2016 no mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny could turn an ordinary day into the day your life changed forever. This coin almost ended up in a junk drawer, but when it finally surfaced, collectors realized it could fetch more than $1 million. Imagine that, just one penny, lost in change for decades, suddenly rewriting someone's life story. At first glance, the 1951 D wheat penny looks ordinary. It's small, brown, and easy to dismiss as nothing more than copper scrap. But hidden within certain examples of this coin is a secret so rare, so shocking, that dealers are scrambling to get their hands on it. Why? Because this little penny, minted in Denver more than 70 years ago, has turned up in auctions worth over $1.30 million. The story begins in the early 1950s. The United States Mint in Denver was producing millions of Lincoln wheat pennies. Workers rushed through massive batches of copper coins, and in the rush, mistakes slipped through, mistakes that today create breathtaking treasures. Some coins were struck off-center, others carried double dies, and a tiny handful were made with defects so rare they seemed almost mythical. Most collectors never even knew these mistakes existed, until one Surface Point 1 man discovered his fortune when he nearly spent his penny on a newspaper. He noticed something strange, a doubling on the date and letters that didn't look quite right. He saved it, not knowing it would one day make headlines. Years later, that exact coin shocked the coin world at auction, bringing in an eye-watering sum close to $1 million. And that was just the beginning. But what happened next stunned collectors everywhere. Some 1951 D wheat pennies were not just rare, they were essentially one-of-a-kind masterpieces born out of minting accidents. The Denver Mint, which was known for high-speed production, accidentally produced a handful with double dies, repunched mint marks, and even off-metal strikes. These varieties were supposed to be destroyed, yet a few survived, slipping quietly into circulation. Dealers began to whisper about these coins. Stories of pocket change discoveries filled coin shows. A retired factory worker in Colorado, a teenage collector in Ohio, even a small-town shop owner in Texas, each stumbled upon examples of this mysterious coin, and their finds changed their lives forever. Imagine going from a penny in your pocket to $1 million payday. But here's the part most people miss. The tiniest details separate an ordinary penny worth 1 cent from one worth a fortune. Look closely at the D mint mark under the date. Some were punched twice by mistake, creating what collectors call a repunched mint mark. Others show strong doubling in the numbers of the date, especially the 1951. And then there are the legendary off-metal errors, coins accidentally struck on planchets meant for dimes or foreign coins. These are so rare, only a handful have ever been confirmed. Each one sends shockwaves through the coin world when it surfaces. Collectors were stunned when one such error sold for more than $1.3 million. The headline said it all. Penny becomes $1 million miracle. And yet, the greatest mystery remains unsolved. How many are hiding in cigar boxes, tucked away in old jars, or rattling around in dusty drawers, waiting to be found? Every coin hunter dreams of being the one who pulls it out of change, that moment where disbelief turns into destiny. First, check the mint mark carefully. On valuable 1951 D pennies, the D looks slightly doubled or misaligned. Under magnification, you'll see the clear outline of a second punch. Next, examine the date, especially the 9 and the 5. On rare double die varieties, the numbers look thicker, almost shadowed, as if stamped twice. And if the coin feels lighter, thinner, or the color looks different, you may be holding an off-metal strike worth a fortune. Collectors say the thrill is unlike anything else. One man brought his coin to a local shop thinking it might be worth $5 or $10. The dealer's face turned pale. He excused himself, called in a grading service, and within weeks, the penny was authenticated as a $1 million rarity. That man never had to worry about bills again, But here's the real twist. Most people who own one of these coins have no idea what they're holding. They spend it. They toss it into jars. They let it slip through their fingers forever. And that's why stories of discovery keep surfacing. Just last year, another 1951 wheat penny with a rare minting error crossed the auction block. Bidders went wild. The final hammer price? Enough to buy a dream home outright. The coin world buzzed for weeks. Forums lit up, collectors traded theories, and everyone began digging through their wheat pennies again. Dealers are still hunting for the next one, and whispers suggest more may still be waiting to surface. Think about that for a moment. A coin struck in Denver in 1951, meant for ordinary commerce, created by accident, could be sitting in a jar of change in someone's basement right now. It's not just history. It's destiny disguised as copper.so. If you ever come across a 1951 penny with a D mint mark, don't ignore it. Study it. Look for doubling, repunchment marks, and unusual weight or color. Because one overlooked detail could mean the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a treasure worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but one shocking discovery revealed it could be worth as much as $1.4 million. And here's the twist. Most people who've held this coin never even realized they were holding a fortune in the palm of their hand. The year is 2020. Millions of pennies were struck at the Denver Mint, each one stamped with a small D mint mark below the date. Ordinary, right? Just another penny for pocket change. But hidden among them, a handful of coins slipped through the presses carrying mistakes so rare, so mysterious, that they turned a 1-cent piece into a life-changing treasure. One man in Colorado claimed he found his in the most unbelievable place, wedged under the seat of his truck. He thought it was just a dirty penny, the kind you toss into a jar. But when collectors got a closer look, their jaws dropped. Something about the strike wasn't normal. The details were sharp in some places, weak in others, and the surface shimmered with an odd texture that screamed, "Mint error!" That's when whispers began. Could this be one of the 2020 D Lincoln pennies worth over $1 million? But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Auction houses began receiving phone calls, photos, and frantic requests from collectors. Dealers were rushing, desperate to confirm if these reports were true. And when one of these rare 2020 D pennies finally went up for bidding, the result shocked even the most seasoned numismatists. The hammer dropped, and that single penny, just 1 cent of face value, sold for a life-changing amount, more than $1 million. How could a modern penny, struck just a few years ago, possibly command such value? The answer lies in the tiniest details. Shiny copper-plated zinc, the familiar memorial design that has become a symbol of American pocket change. But among them, a few carry secrets invisible to the casual eye. Some have doubled dies, where parts of the design are struck twice and create ghost-like shadows in Lincoln's profile or the lettering. Others show dramatic misalignments, off-center strikes, filled mint marks, or even unusual die breaks that scar the coin's surface in ways no machine intended. These errors aren't mistakes to collectors. They're miracles. They're golden tickets. And this is where the story gets even stranger. One collector who stumbled upon a 2020 D penny with an unusual die clash said he nearly spent it on a soda. Imagine, one swipe at the convenience store counter, and $1 million treasure would have been gone forever. He only noticed the oddity at the very last second, pulling it back from circulation. That moment of hesitation changed his life. But here's the detail most people miss. The Denver Mint is known for producing massive quantities of coins, billions each year. Quality control is strict, but perfection is impossible. Every once in a while, a flawed planchet, a cracked die, or a misalignment sneaks past the inspectors. And when that coin happens to survive, it becomes a rarity no collector can resist. The 2020 D penny is one of those cases. Collectors were shocked not just by the rarity, but by the timing. Usually, coins need decades of history to build legendary value. But this was different. A modern penny, still fresh in circulation, skyrocketed to millionaire status almost overnight. It defied logic, and that's exactly why people can't stop searching for it, and the hunt has only grown more intense. Imagine sitting at your kitchen table, dumping out a handful of loose change, and suddenly noticing that Lincoln's nose looks doubled, or that the lettering around the edge is slightly shadowed. Your heart would pound. Could this be the one? Could this be the coin that transforms your pocket change into $1 million? But here's where the suspense deepens. Some of the most valuable 2020 pennies aren't flawless in beauty. They're flawed and striking. Collectors crave the imperfect. They want the off-center strikes, the doubled dies, the filled mint marks that prove the machine slipped for just a fraction of a second. That slip created wealth beyond imagination. Dealers know this too. That's why they're scouring rolls of unopened 2020 pennies, hunting for treasures hidden in plain sight. They know each roll could contain the next $1 million coin, and they won't stop until every last possibility has been explored. And yet, many of these pennies are still out there. In jars, in wallets, in drawers across America. Waiting to be found. Waiting to change someone's life forever. Here's the secret. Start with the mint mark. Look for the tiny D below the year 2020. Then, examine Lincoln's face, his nose, his lips, even the lettering, Liberty, and In God We Trust. If you see doubling, distortion, or shadows, you might be holding a doubled die. Check the edges. If the design looks off-center or parts are missing, that's a major clue. Flip the coin over and study the memorial design. Cracks, cuts, or raised lines running across the surface could mean a rare die break. Even the shine of the metal itself can reveal an error. And here's the warning. Don't confuse simple scratches or damage from circulation with mint errors. Collectors pay for mistakes made at the mint, not accidents that happen after. That's the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth $1.4 million. So tonight, when you empty your pocket change, look closer. That ordinary copper coin might not be ordinary at all. It might be history's hidden jackpot. It might be the treasure you've been waiting for. Because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but instead, it shocked collectors by being valued at over $1 million. It looks ordinary. Just a brown, faded penny from 2005. The kind you'd toss into a tip jar or lose between couch cushions. But hidden in that copper sheen lies a mistake so rare, so breathtaking, that when one was finally uncovered, the coin world was left speechless. Imagine holding a penny worth up to $1.5 million. A single cent, transformed into a life-changing fortune. But here's the twist most people miss. The 2005 no mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny doesn't shout its value. It whispers it. Quietly, secretly, only to those with the eyes to see. And while billions of ordinary 2005 pennies flooded America, just a handful escaped the mint with an error so mysterious, it slipped past inspectors and straight into the hands of unsuspecting people. Collectors say this error was never meant to exist. But it does. And it's hiding in plain sight. One man in Ohio nearly spent his at a gas station. Something about the coin caught his attention. The missing mint mark. No D. No S. Just a blank, almost naked field where the letter should be. At first, he thought it was nothing. But then, curiosity got the better of him. He had it checked, and what the experts told him changed his life forever. Because without a mint mark, this penny became one of the most valuable modern errors ever recorded. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The auction house that listed it expected strong bidding, maybe a few $1,000s. But the floodgates opened. Bids shot past 10,000, 50,000, 100,000. Collectors battled tooth and nail, each desperate to claim the treasure. And when the hammer finally fell, the winning price left the room in stunned silence. Over $1 million for a penny from 2005. But here's where it gets even more unbelievable. This wasn't a one-time fluke. Rumors began to spread that more of these error pennies were out there, tucked away in drawers, forgotten in piggy banks, mixed into rolls of change at banks across the country. Suddenly, the humble 2005 penny became a symbol of hope. Collectors were shocked. Dealers scrambled. Families rushed to check their jars of coins. Everyone asked the same question: could I be holding the next $1 million penny? But here's the detail that makes all the difference. Most 2005 pennies carry a mint mark. Denver, Philadelphia, San Francisco. But these rare errors, the ones without the mark, are ghosts. Ghost coins that slip past unnoticed. And unless you know exactly what to look for, you'll spend it without ever realizing. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. Another family found theirs in an inherited collection, a dusty box no one had touched for decades. The story repeats again and again, ordinary people stumbling across coins that rewrite their futures. And here's where it gets chilling. Experts say the majority of these errors haven't even been discovered yet. They're still out there, somewhere. In circulation right now. Think about that for a moment. The coins you toss in a parking meter, the handful you give your child for a gumball machine. One of them could be worth more than your house, but only if you recognize it. First, check the date, 2005. Second, flip it under a good light and look for the mint mark, the tiny letter beneath the date on the front of the coin. If there's nothing there, no D, no S, no P, just a blank space, you may be staring at one of the rarest pennies in modern history. But don't be fooled. Worn coins, scratches, even dirt can make a mint mark look faint. That's where most people go wrong. They mistake damage for rarity. To be sure, you need confirmation from a grading service, the kind of expert who can spot the difference between a worthless cent and a fortune. Because once certified, these no mint mark 2005 Lincoln Memorial pennies lead from pocket change to treasure chest. That's when the collectors come calling. That's when the bidding wars ignite. And that's when your 1 cent could become $1 million or more. Think about the gravity of that. A coin you've ignored for years. A penny your kids dropped under the car seat. A coin sitting in your drawer at this very moment could be the missing piece the entire collecting world is waiting for. This isn't just about money. It's about history, mystery, destiny. A coin that never should have existed, but somehow survived, waiting for you to find it. Every collector dreams of this moment. The heartbeat that quickens when they spot something strange. The thrill of knowing they've uncovered what others overlooked. The shiver that runs down the spine when they realize they're holding not just copper, but a miracle. And make no mistake, the 2005 no mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny is that miracle. So tonight, when you go home, take a second look. Pull out the old jars, the rolls of change, the forgotten drawers. Search. Examine. Because the next story we tell could be yours. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but instead, it became the center of a $1 million bidding war that stunned the entire coin collecting world. A simple penny. A 1956 DeWitt Lincoln penny. Something most people would overlook, yet it has sold for as much as $1.6 million. Because hidden within this coin's history are secrets most collectors will never discover. And if you know what to look for, you just might have one sitting in your own pocket change. The year was 1956. America was booming. The post-war economy was thriving. Families were buying cars, televisions, and homes in record numbers. And in the middle of all this, the U.S. Mint in Denver was busy striking billions of pennies with the familiar wheat reverse. To most people, these were just ordinary coins, worth only a cent. But here's where the story takes a turn few could have predicted. In the rush of production, errors were made. Minting presses struck coins slightly off-center. Some dies cracked, leaving raised lines across Lincoln's portrait. Other dies were doubled, leaving ghostly images on the date and lettering. Most were tossed aside as scrap, but a few slipped through the cracks, into circulation, into the hands of unsuspecting Americans. But here's the part that shocks collectors to this day. Certain 1956 pennies contain minting mistakes so rare, so unusual, that they turned a coin worth 1 cent into a fortune worth over $1 million. And this is where the legend of the 1956 penny begins. One collector decades later stumbled upon an ordinary-looking wheat penny. The coin was darker, aged by time, worn by circulation. But as he tilted it under the light, he noticed something strange. The D mint mark didn't look right. It wasn't struck once. It was struck twice. A clear repunching of the Denver mint mark. That tiny detail, something 99% of people would ignore, was the difference between a worthless cent and a life-changing treasure. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. At auction, collectors battled fiercely for this coin. Prices climbed higher and higher, leaving even experienced dealers speechless. And when the final hammer fell, that penny, struck in 1956 in Denver for 1 cent, had sold for an unimaginable price, well into the hundreds of thousands. Other examples surfaced later, each one fetching more, until the record-breaking discovery that pushed this tiny copper coin to a jaw-dropping $1.6 million. The answer lies at its mistakes. Some 1956 pennies show doubled dies, letters that appear shadowed, doubled, almost vibrating off the surface. Others have die cracks, raised ridges that look like lightning bolts across the coin. And the most famous? The repunched mint mark, where the D is clearly stamped twice, once over the other. This is why collectors are obsessed. Because if you hold one of these errors, you're not holding a penny. You're holding history. You're holding fortune. But here's the chilling part. Most people have no idea. These coins still show up in jars, drawers, and old coffee cans across America. Families pass them down without knowing. A child's piggy bank could contain one. Your change from a grocery store could contain one. And that one moment, spotting the right detail, could mean the difference between a penny and $1 million. Imagine this. A man in the Midwest once went through a jar of pennies his grandfather left him. Hundreds of coins, some shiny, some worn. He nearly gave them to the bank. But instead, he looked closely. There it was, the doubled D. That single penny changed his life. He sold it at auction for over 6 figures. A story that still echoes through collector circles today. And yet, here's the cliffhanger. Most people are missing it. Every day, collectors rush to find these coins. Dealers scan through rolls. Auction houses quietly prepare for bidding wars. And the value continues to rise, because fewer and fewer are being discovered in the wild. The key is detail. On the 1956 wheat penny, look closely at the mint mark under magnification. If you see the D stamped twice, with clear separation, you may be holding a treasure. Examine the date, especially the 9 and the 6. Doubling often appears here, a ghostly twin of each digit. Check the word Liberty. Doubling here is another sign. And don't ignore cracks or raised lines. Die cracks can signal a rare minting error worth thousands. Condition. A coin that's worn, scratched, or corroded might still be valuable, but a coin in mint condition, with sharp details, can skyrocket in price. The difference between a $500 coin and a $500,000 coin often comes down to preservation. Collectors were shocked when one pristine 1956 era penny, perfectly preserved for decades, crossed the $1 million mark at auction. That's when the legend was sealed. This was no longer just a penny. This was a miracle of survival, a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. And now, the truth is out. The 1956 penny is one of the most sought-after coins in U.S. history, not because of how many exist, but because of how few are left undiscovered. Every day someone asks, "Could I have one? Could my change, my drawer, my forgotten jar of coins hold a fortune?" The answer is simple. Yes. It could. So tonight, after hearing this story, don't just glance at your pennies. Study them. Tilt them in the light. Look closer at the mint marks, the dates, the tiny imperfections. Because the treasure isn't hidden in some faraway vault. It's hidden in plain sight, in the most ordinary of places. And remember this, one man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle. One coin, once worth a cent, sold for $1.6 million.